Welcome back. We're back at Remax Roundtable. We've had a little break. We had a little technical difficulties. We got Mr. Rick West back with us today. We had a good conversation last time, but our production crew dropped the ball. But we're not going to point any fingers. But anyway, we got Mr. West back in. Come back. He was kind enough to come back and talk to us today. And we got a whole list of stuff we want to talk about today. What's going on at the Capitol?
A lot, really. It seems like I've been up there more this interim than I have ever been. Just a lot of interim studies that I'm interested in, and I'm on different committees, so there's interim studies in those committees, and just going up there, and because these interim studies kind of tell you what's going to happen in regular session, It's what bills are going to come up in regular session, and so I want to know what's going on. That way, I can represent this district down here. And if you don't go up there, then you really don't get to hear. I've been to education interim studies. I've been to ag interim studies, county government, all of them. That affects my district. So I've been busy. I've been busy on the place. Doing all that good stuff, and but it's been and it's getting close. I mean, we've got the election coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
In November,
election, yeah.
And then after the election, they're going to certify all the new House members that have gotten elected. I think there's 17 of them, new members, freshman members that got elected. We'll see how that goes, and then we got to get sworn in. And then we'll have a caucus meeting a couple of days where we supposedly go down and talk about issues and talk about the agenda, where we're heading, what we're going to try to do this next 2 years. I hope that it's a good one. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes we talk about some stuff and nothing never happens.
You get appointed to a committee. Are you a part of that committee for that entire term?
2 years.
Okay. So
unless they kick you off.
Okay.
I mean,
You ever been kicked off?
Nope, not yet.
Well,
No.
you hadn't
Nope.
made anybody mad?
Nope.
No?
Nope, not yet. But I mean, I was on wildlife for 4 years, and then all of a sudden I wasn't on it again. They put 2 other guys on there that had some personal things they wanted to see done.
Hey, how
Leadership.
is okay?
Yeah, see, that's part of the problem we got and that's some of the rule changes that me and several other legislators are trying to change. I think we talked about this last time, but the Speaker of the House appoints all chairmen and all vice chairmen.
Okay.
He appoints them. So that's power.
Right.
That's power. And so what we're trying to do is we want to change the rules to where the caucus, the 82 members of the Oklahoma House of Representatives, votes on who is the chairman of ag, who's the chairman of education, instead of the power in the speaker.
That seems like that would make a little more sense.
Because here's what you end up. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Mm-hmm. And when you have a speaker who has all the power, I mean, he even controls what I send out in a press release.
Wow.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
So I just want people to understand. When I went up there in 2016, I had no idea it was like this.
Right. I'm sure
and it takes,
a common person don't.
And besides that, I mean, you're bug-eyed and you're seeing the Capitol, and but when you had 8 years of the same speaker, and then now we're going to have a new speaker, but nobody except us, the old guys, know what it was like before it got this way.
Who's the new speaker?
Well, we don't know. We have a speaker elect,
and
which is, yes, The caucus voted for the speaker-elect, which is Hilbert.
Okay.
What's his first name? I can't remember. Anyway, but he got elected back early in the last session. And I want you to understand, what happens is, he is the speaker-elect. We'll have another election in November where the freshmen can come in and vote, okay? But he's been the speaker-elect, so he handles all the money. The PAC money, the Republican PAC. The House of Representatives has a PAC. It's got millions of dollars there. And he handles the money.
Money's power.
And money is power.
Yeah.
And so he chooses, he himself, or whoever he picks to do that, who they give money to get reelected, to help them get reelected.
Wow.
It's power.
It is.
I'm telling you. So he is the speaker-elect, but he's got an opponent. He has an opponent. This is the one that counts over here. He's the speaker-elect. If he doesn't get an opponent, then he becomes automatically the speaker. But he's got an opponent.
How do you become an opponent?
You just sign your name and say, hey, I'm
So
running.
I want to run.
Yeah, I'm running. Yeah, it's not me, so don't.
Okay, all right.
But
Okay.
but I know who the guy is, and I mean, and so and the reason he's doing that is because when we were freshmen, when I was a freshman, when I went in, I voted. There was 3 guys running for speaker: McCall, Bennett, and Ortega. They were running, all 3 of them. So we had a vote. They weren't elected back during the session. They were being elected right now, today, when we voted. So, and that's the way it should be.
Right.
Don't give that guy $50 million to hand out and do his thing.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That might persuade somebody to vote for you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and also you are appointing chairmanships.
Okay.
You're appointing caucus.
Yeah. All right.
You've got all that. And let me tell you, I mean, if you don't think that's not power.
Yes.
But I will say this. We had a guy who was the chairman of Appropriations and Budget, the second most powerful man beside the speaker, because he appropriates all the money, $12 billion. He was in 10 years. Had $1 million in his campaign fund. $1 million. Lobbyists, $1 million. He runs for his 12th year, 2-year term. 2 guys run against him. Nobody thinks nothing about it. He doesn't win the primary. He doesn't win his primary. Been there 10 years. $1 million. So then they have the primary runoff. He spent $725,000 and got beat. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about this last time.
We
The
did.
Lobbyists and stuff control a lot. And you
But-
made it clear last time you do not take a.
You're right. But here's the deal. That money didn't get him elected. You know what beat him? He forgot who got him elected in the first place.
Well,
And he made some, and he had a record. He made some votes that people in his district didn't like,
yeah.
and he gets beat. So
Well,
and so we got a new guy. We got a freshman coming in, and hopefully he'll stay true to what he said he'd do. Hopefully he'll do that. But I'm telling you, it's difficult for these guys. They've got a campaign debt, probably.
Mm-hmm.
They probably owe themselves a bunch of money, because if you don't take lobbyist money, you don't take PAC money, then you're funding your own deal,
Right.
except what people, in the community give you.
Yeah.
So, but he's got a debt. So, and listen, they're offering him money like no other. People need to understand this stuff,
Imagine, yeah.
and
Man.
it's real deal. And so So then, what you've got is you have we're gonna vote on. I'm gonna offer some rule changes. Some other guys are, and we're gonna see. We won't be on that committee, but we can offer it to and see if we can get anything done. Anything done.
Do a lot of do they just assume that this is just the way it is? Let's just go with it.
It's
and,
just,
I mean, just
yeah,
what it's
it's-
always been, and let's just.
Yeah, when I went in when I went in 16, it was, I didn't know any of those guys. I didn't know any of them. The only person I knew was Mark Allen, and he was senator.
Okay.
And, I didn't know nothing, but you could tell, you could tell how it was going to all shape out. And so, you vote with them, they vote with them, they never, it's just the way it is. And then you've got a group of us that read bills, represent our
It
district.
actually reads the whole bill. And,
Call back here if it has something to do with the sheriff or the courthouse or commissioner. Call back here. Say, hey, here's this bill. We vote, but it's freedom.
Right.
It's freedom. That's all I can say. It's just freedom to vote no, or freedom to vote yes, and freedom to represent your district.
yeah, do the right thing.
I had a guy come in my office back during session from right here in LaFleur County. He said, Rich, how do you justify not being in leadership position and representing your district? And I just kind of laughed like that. And I said, well, first of all, I don't buy into that you have to be in leadership to represent your district. I've got a vote, I've got a parking spot,
Right.
And I said, I ran 8 bills last session, 5 of them, every one of them came from LaFleur County, a person in LaFleur County, every one of them. And I said, the governor signed 5 of them into law. I think that's representing your district.
Right.
Now, some sessions I don't get none. I don't go to any pass because they throw them out. They get rid of them. But so
When they throw them, when you write a bill like that and they throw it out, do you go back and and if you really set on it, do you revise it, or you just say,
well,
let's.
it's just like this session. This is the 60th, so we got 2 years. So if I run a bill this session and it doesn't get heard, it's still live.
Okay.
I can run it next session. If it doesn't get anything next session, it's dead. I have to run it again.
Okay.
The 4-H bill that we finally, it took 5 years to pass that bill. I run it 5 years. Finally, the Senate passed it. The House always did.
Wow.
So, lobbyists hand members bills. These members don't have to get a Senate author. It's already done. One legislator, I read her bill. It was in my committee that I was in. I asked her the day before we were going to vote. And I asked her, I said, hey, tell me about your bill. She said, I don't know, I hadn't read it yet.
She's trying to get it passed.
Well, it was already going to pass. It didn't matter.
She didn't.
She
Yeah.
could have read some storybook, and it would. I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when a lot of us watch the news, your channel of choice, but they get this side gets ridiculed for not passing this bill, but when y'all pass a bill there, it's not a single item. I mean, is everything a single item bill, or
Well, it's supposed to be.
okay?
Every bill is they call that log rolling.
Okay.
Every bill is supposed to be a one subject bill. Sometimes one will come in that is not, and usually that happens when somebody amends it.
Okay.
You know, and then they want to add something to your bill that's not, that word germane, it's not germane to your bill.
Okay.
So,
but in order to pass that, this is, it's kind of like, we'll do this if you.
yeah. Well, I ran a bill. The court clerk about 3 years ago called me and said, "Rick, we got a problem with elderly people and young people." The statute said that you had to get a written document from a doctor. Well, a lot of people don't have doctors. They have PAs or they have physician assistants. And so she said, "Rick, can you run a bill to add physician's assistants and PAs to the doctor deal?" I said, "Sure, that makes sense to me."
Yeah, yeah.
So I ran the bill. Well, we got it in, went through committee, and then a lady came, a representative, wanted me to, if she could amend my bill to add college kids being exempt from voting if they, you know, their address is, if they live at Stillwater. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember now what all it was, but anyway, so I called the court clerk and I said, "Hey, here's your bill, and they want to amend it. What do you think?" "Oh, that'd be great, because it saves us a lot of time and trouble and all that." Got that thing on the House floor, and the legislators didn't like it at all.
Because of the amendment.
Yeah, boy, they warped that thing. So we took the amendment out, run it the next day. You got 24. Took the amendment out, run the original bill, and it passed. And went to the Senate, and it passed, and the governor signed it.
Well, you just hear, you know, you hear the 800 pages of a bill, you know, and you hear at the national level, you know, that half of them don't even read what all, because there's so many amendments in it, and you know, you get you know, crucified for not passing that bill, but a lot of people don't know what all is in that bill.
Well, and I'll give you a perfect example. The Holocaust bill. When we passed the bill about, I forget now. Anyway, a Democrat and a Republican ran a bill that the Holocaust had to be taught in public school. If you just read that line, who doesn't want the Holocaust to be passed?
Right.
Taught in school, right? So if you just read that line, you say, "Yeah, I'm gonna vote for that." But just turn the page.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just turn, and it said it will be taught in this manner.
Yeah.
That's the kicker.
Right.
And it was like bullying and I don't remember what all, 4 or 5 different things. Really had nothing to do with the Holocaust. It had everything to do with the bill that we passed. I forget what it was, but anyway, and I voted no. The minute I voted no, my phone lit up like everything.
Right.
"You're the sorriest legislator ever was," and all that stuff. And I explained to him, it's not what you think it is.
Right.
Read the bill.
Right.
And that was what, you know. And then, you know, we'll have bills that's really good, but then it says down here, subject to availability of funds. It's nothing.
Right. So yeah, I mean,
It's nothing. And I vote against all of them.
right. Right.
Because we've got 150, I think, last count of bills subject to availability of funds. Well, where are you going to put this one? You're going to put it up top. You're going to put it on the bottom. It makes the representative look good in his district, and people don't understand. It'll never happen.
Yeah. Wow. I mean.
And I didn't know all that stuff when I first got, and nobody does unless they've been in it.
Yeah.
And you know, so you just have to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
And just say, here's my criteria to vote, yes or no.
Right.
There it is. And
I guess maybe the amendments and stuff you got, you know, you see the headline, the whole, you know,
yeah,
it might be easy to slip something in there that they've been, you know, because that's the main part of that bill. But then
well, it's not so bad to amend stuff in committee. Where it gets tricky is when you're on the House floor and it's amended. That's when it gets tricky because you're supposed to wait 24 hours to vote on it. And they amend it and vote on it right then. Because, see, they can change the rules. They can change the rules to vote on it. We passed a spending bill and it never went in committee.
So it's kind of a bargaining tactic, I guess, from one side to the other. You know, we'll pass this, but you give a little bit on this, and we'll throw this in the bill too to kind of make everybody kind of happy, I guess. I mean,
no. I think you're right. I think, but what it really boils down to, you vote for my bill, I'll vote for yours.
Right.
You voted against my bill, I'm voting against your bill.
Yeah.
That's not good policy.
no matter if I really believe in it or
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's just not.
What's going on with the ag study?
Wow, it's the wildest thing I've ever heard of, really. We have an ag committee. I'm on the ag committee. I'm not the chairman, but I'm a member of the committee. We had a representative that did an interim study dealing with these RFID tags, radio frequency identification tags that the federal government is pushing on on the cattle industry. And he also talked about 30-30 land grab. That's when the Biden administration says they're going to take 30% of all the land in the United States and turn it into a preserve. That's a really good one.
Take
So-
30% of the land.
Yes, sir.
30% of private land.
Private land, yes.
Okay.
And then and also I don't know if
I mean,
you're
it
aware.
makes sense. I mean, coming from anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware. Then it's the 10-minute cities, and that's another deal where they're going to take land and build these shopping malls and apartment buildings, and where you can do anything you want to do in 10 minutes, no cars allowed, and all that stuff. That's Biden's green agenda. So anyway, this one had to do with agriculture. Agriculture, in my opinion, is under assault in the United States. It is. They're coming after it. In Oklahoma, in 2017, there was a state question, you might remember it, giving Oklahomans the right to farm.
Okay.
It got beat. It got voted down. I ran a bill to give Oklahomans the right to grow their own food without government interference.
Good.
No, he got blasted the first time, and then I think some legislators got lots of calls, like
What was the opposition to that? I mean, what was the
well,
reason?
it was municipalities. You know, they have rules and regulations, like you can have one chicken, but you can't have a rooster.
So basically, the government wasn't getting there.
The government, they didn't want to give up their authority over you to where you can't grow your own food. I mean, it was crazy. They said it'd give them the right to tear up their front yard. Well, if it's your front yard, tear the thing up.
Right.
Plant corn.
Right.
Anyway, it got blasted. But anyway, this interim study had to deal with mainly these RFID tags, which is the worst thing ever. So the speaker approved it. It went to the committee. The committee chairman approved it, set the date, and when you have an interim study, you have to provide the chairman with who's going to speak, how long they're going to speak, and what they're going to speak about. You have to do that. Well, when this legislator turned in his deal, the chairman called him, said, "You're not going to do this."
Didn't like the speakers.
He said, "You're going to have to take 2 out, and you're going to have to put 2 in that I want in." And the legislator said, "This is not your interim study. If you want those guys to speak, you should have had your own." Well, he said, "I'm going to cancel your interim study." Now this was on the Jake Merrick show this morning. I don't know if you ever listened to it.
No, I haven't.
96.9 at 7 o'clock. You need to listen to that. This legislator was on the Jake Merrick show this morning telling about this. He'd already called me and told me what he did, so they canceled it. The chairman did. And then he just moved it to another venue. He got somebody in Oklahoma City, just 4200 North Lincoln. If anybody wants to go, it's tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. And they've got it set up. It's gonna be at 10 o'clock, and he's gonna have his interim study. And it's gonna be live streamed, just like it at the Capitol. But it's off-site.
So is he asking? I mean, no kind of he moved it. He's just gonna go ahead and do it.
Yeah, he just gonna go ahead and do it. The lady that beat Liz Cheney in Wyoming, she's coming. She's probably already here.
And they're going to talk about how
they're going to talk about 30-30 land grab. They're going to talk about the RFID tag, which is, listen, I worked for USDA for 36 years. We eradicated brucellosis. We eradicated mad cow disease in Washington State, TB, all this stuff with a back tag and an ear tag. We did that. This RFID, this electronic EID, whatever you want to call it, has nothing to do with disease control. It has everything to do with controlling the beef industry. And here's how they're going to do it. When they force everybody to put those tags in these cattle's ears, then they're going to know where they're at. And they're going to look over where I live. Let's just say a square mile where I live. They're going to say, well, there's 500 head of cattle in 1 square mile. That's too many. You're going to have to get rid of them. You're going to have to sell them. They do it in Europe, and that's where this thing's headed. I'm telling you, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to the beef industry. The chicken industry is already regulated. The hog industry is regulated. The beef industry is the only one that's not.
And they can't stand it because
they don't. It's control.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you.
When do people finally say? The government's got their. In every aspect. They know what. They know where you're at. They know what you're doing.
Well, I've got another topic here we can talk about is these flock cameras.
Okay.
You want to talk about flock cameras? Oklahoma passed the law. We passed it to use these cameras to take pictures of car tags going through a toll road. Right?
Oh yeah, I used to get a bill.
You can get a bill on that. Okay. Then they passed. Then we passed it that these cameras could be used. I don't remember now. One other way they could be used.
Can they be used for traffic violations? Or
Oh,
anything?
I know what it was. Is insurance.
Oh, insurance. Yes.
Flock cameras take a picture of your tag, and they can tell whether you had insurance.
Right.
Those two things. That's all the legislature approved. To do anything else with all this information that comes up with your car tag, they have to get a warrant. Well, that little part of the legislature, that little part of the statute has been forgotten. So what's happening is these flock cameras and all that information that's going in is being stored. We had a bill last year to build the building to store this stuff in. And now it's being sent out everywhere. Now, law enforcement uses this information, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing, yeah.
But they don't have the statutory authority to do what they're doing.
Wow.
And so think about 1938 and 39 and 40. Think about what that could lead to when Germany was doing all that. I went to that interim study, and they had a film of a policeman pulled over a guy, and looked him up, and he'd been traveling back and forth from Texas to Oklahoma, they had him. Mm-hmm. These flock cameras now had him. Knew where he'd been, how long he'd stayed, where he'd go, all this stuff. And they wanted to know why he was doing all that. He said, well, it's none of your business. Well, it got pretty serious. So, law enforcement, it's a good tool. They use it to find gray hairs, when they drive off, child molesters, they use this.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, except, according to statute, they're supposed to have a warrant. And all this, and not only in Oklahoma, but all this information is going to Texas, going everywhere about you.
They just can't get enough. They just got to keep pushing,
and I know. I mean, law enforcement at Tulsa, Oklahoma City, they use these things.
Yeah. Well, if it's used for the right reason,
But that's exactly right.
Thing.
But you've got to get a warrant according to statute.
So there's something going on with that right now.
Yes. The first thing you had to do, you had to let everybody know, hey, this is what's happening. Here's the law. The guy that ran the interim study is not against these cameras to a point. I'm not either.
Right.
To a point. But when you start using it without the statutory authority, then there's a problem.
Well, it's just going to keep.
Because your Fourth Amendment rights are being violated.
Right.
Pure and simple.
Wow.
And these are the things that we as legislators need to be focusing on.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah.
It's just
that's crazy.
That's it. That is part of.
Well, our technology is getting so. You can do anything with our technology now.
Absolutely.
I seen where Elon Musk had a robot to do chores, household chores, and it's
the Jetsons. You're not old enough to remember the Jetsons.
I remember this. Yeah. Well, we're almost. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
So it's just something that you have to always be on guard about. You have to read bills. You have to make decisions.
Well, I'm glad we got someone in our that represents us here that actually reads the bills, because I'm sure.
Well,
you're obviously for the people this best interest of this area, and you don't stick your hand out for a lobbyist and they don't persuade you, and it's just it's good to have somebody up there with some morals, and even I know you've probably gone into fights a lot of times knowing that you're not going to win this fight. But you're still going to stand for what.
Well, you have to, because look again. People in District 3, I think they know me. They know, when I told them I wouldn't raise taxes, I didn't raise taxes, and I took the heat off of it.
Right.
But they know. So I think I represent them. I vote. I don't miss vote. I think I missed 3 votes in 2 years. I don't miss them. Some guys miss 200.
Right.
That's the very least I can do is vote.
Right. That's
I may not like you may not like the way I vote, but I vote.
But you have your standards, or why you vote for something. You're just not going to say.
If it raises taxes, if it grows government, if it takes away freedoms, those are the things that you look for.
Right.
Those are the things that we should all stand for.
Right, exactly.
Don't give up. Don't give away.
You're going to hear that from a lot of politicians.
Absolutely.
That's what they're going to do. But when your record, I guess, shows that that's what you do.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure I've made a bad vote.
Well, you may.
I've voted a bunch of
We've all
times.
made a mistake or two in our life, probably.
Anyway.
Minimum wage.
Well, minimum wage, they got enough signatures to put it on the ballot. Governor Stingett put it on after he's going to be out of office.
Yeah.
2 years coming up. California did it. Now they've repealed it because it was shutting down every business they
That's
had.
crazy. What's the minimum wage going? What's
It can, I think, in maybe 3 or 4 years, it'll be $20 an hour. Right now, it's 7.25 or 7.5 or something,
right?
and it'll go increments all the way to $20 an hour.
Wow.
And so you just think about that for a minute.
I mean,
Well, small businesses they're done.
yeah.
Well,
I agree. 750 is not enough. I think 750 with the cost of things it's just not enough.
I agree. But let's let industry set it,
Right.
not government.
Right.
I mean, I've heard of instances in South Dakota when they had the big oil boom out there, and everybody was working in the oil field. McDonald's had to pay $20 an hour because they couldn't get no help.
Right.
You either pay me 20 or I'm going to the oil field.
Right.
So let's let industry, set the minimum
Well,
wage.
I mean, California is always a good model to follow. You know, they do everything so it turns out great out there. Everything, all their crazy.
To me,
crazy
it's
ways of
just
thinking.
Look. You start a business to make money.
Right. You're taking that chance with your life and your money to go in it. You're the one that's going to have to make sure you got a return.
Right. And so you start a business to make money. You don't start a business to hire 20 people. You start a business to make money. You may hire one, you may hire two, whatever it is. But when your taxes are increased, you're still going to make a profit. You're to make a profit. So you're either going to up your price or you're going to let one guy go.
Right.
Because you're going to make a profit. Either that or you're going to go broke and
You're not doing it for a hobby.
no, you're not.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think business industry, if they can, and look, the minimum wage was never meant to raise a family and do all that. Hey, I remember when we got $1 an hour hauling hay, 50 cents a bale, 25 cents a bale. That was what we did.
Yeah.
But our economy's out of whack, our debt's out of whack, everything is, and this will not
I worked
help.
for $1 an hour for a long time when I wrecked somebody's three-wheeler I had to fix. My dad made me work for $1 an hour to fix it.
Yeah, and I mean it's going to be a vote of the people. I would say it'll pass.
That's going to, I mean, you're going to have less workers because there's not going to be as many jobs because things are going to be closing.
Well, look at self-checkout.
Yeah.
Everybody hates self-checkout, but do you think they're going to pay somebody that wage when they can have like at McDonald's, you go in there and press the button and they order all these.
I have noticed now a lot of this, like the dollar stores and stuff like that, the self-checkout's gone because I guess they started adding up what they're losing, and maybe it pay us to pay somebody to check
people
it out.
didn't use it. They hated it. I hate self-checkout.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people like to use it because they just throw it in their bags and forget to scan something.
And then,
I guess they started doing when they started seeing their total profits on a year, they thought, well, maybe these self checkouts is not the answer. Maybe we need to pay somebody.
Yeah.
We got school board elections coming.
School board election, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
There was an interim study on that. Well, actually, a representative ran a bill last year to move school board elections to national elections. Move them to national and state elections. In other words, if, like this year, it'd be the governor be running state elections, the president election, have school board elections. And the reason is twofold. Number one, more people will vote.
Right. Right.
Number two, it'll save a whole bunch of money. Save schools a whole bunch of money.
Right.
It got blasted. Never even got a hearing on it.
What was the why? I mean, what was the other side of that? I mean, why were they
Superintendents didn't support it.
for what reason?
Well, a lot of reasons. I mean, not a lot, but one of them was that they could have 3 elections at one time. 3 members run at one time, and that would be enough to if they ran with an agenda against the superintendent, they could get rid of it.
Okay.
Except the election, except for a bond issue.
Right.
They could do that whenever, but it and there were other reasons. That was just the superintendent told me that, and but it nobody votes much in a not hardly anybody votes in a not really a lot of people vote for a bond issue.
Right. Right.
But this representative, he got his mouth smashed now, but he's back and he's running it again. He had an interim study and brought in some really good people, and so we'll see where that thing goes this year. But he's going to run it again. And
How about driver's license for
illegal?
illegals?
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
We're not a border state, but we are.
I think everybody's a border state.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my opinion is we don't need to make Oklahoma a friendly state for illegals to come.
Right.
Okay, I'm talking about illegals.
Illegal.
I'm talking about illegals. So if we have illegals can get a driver's license, we make it real friendly for them to
Right.
come
Right.
and get one and go and do whatever, leave or stay.
So you're just
The
inviting.
argument is that they have to get insurance. Well, I can go get insurance today and cancel it tomorrow and still got my ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That is the worst.
Right.
That to me, we don't need to be giving illegal aliens a driver's license.
Right.
We do not.
Right.
But it's coming back, and I think one of the reasons it's coming back is because out in western Oklahoma, they need drivers. These farms out there need drivers, and they don't have enough. And and I think Farm Bureau, I shouldn't say that, you can delete that, but there was a lot of organizations that supported that because on the agriculture side.
How many states are? I mean,
Well, there's several. I mean, I had the list at one time, but I don't remember. But there's some states that give them driver's license. They
if you have a
ran
driver's license-
They ran that thing last year as a driver's license. This year, it's going to come back as a permit to drive. Change the name, same deal.
if you have a driver's license, you can vote.
And guess what? You can also buy a gun.
I wonder who's pushing that. Then Who's pushing that?
Hey, I don't know who's pushing
Wow.
it. I'm gonna vote against it
Yeah,
because I think it's terrible.
it's terrible. I mean, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you should not be able to vote.
Well, and one of those state questions that's on there, who would have ever thought that Oklahoma would need a state question to say if you're not a citizen of the United States, you can't vote in Oklahoma? Who would ever thought that?
Well, we're dealing with that here in the real estate business with the citizens and stuff purchasing land and all that.
Yeah.
That's also that's an issue too.
Yeah.
It's ups down and lefts right.
And what's caused all what has caused all this?
the border. I mean,
That's why Trump. Everybody gets aggravated that Trump Because, they'll ask him a question, well, what about daycare? Well, he'll talk about the border.
Right.
Because in his mind, the border is the whole problem
Well,
of everything.
it is.
In his mind, it's
root.
the housing shortage.
Yeah.
It's because of illegals coming in.
Well, you think our borders could have figured out that was the root cause of everything.
Well, it's kind of like me. You got to get in the district to know what they think before you can,
Right.
and she never went down there.
No. I can't even.
You,
start with,
look, it's you.
road use tax.
Road use tax. That's what it is.
To
Okay,
just
Biden's green agenda.
okay.
All right. Road use tax would be for electric cars. Now, because they don't buy gas, right?
Right.
Which that's not a bad deal.
Right.
But they're going to have everybody. It's coming up. They're going to have a pilot program. These things are dangerous as a cocked cannon because a pilot program, first of all, grows government. Second of all, increase everything. But they're going to. You're either going to, if you have a vehicle before 1995, you will have to keep your mileage down and send it in, and you'll have to pay a tax on that. If you have a 1995 and better, they can put a chip in your vehicle, and they'll know where you've been, and they'll know how many miles you've driven. Now, if Kamala gets elected, what this thing will
I'm
lead
moving to Costa Rica.
what this thing will lead to, and I'm not going to Costa Rica to get interviewed. So, but anyway, what this thing is, in my opinion, this is me. What this thing is leading to is they're going to curtail how many miles you drive because of global warming, because of all that stuff. And when you drive those miles, now this will be 5-10 years down the road, but it all has to start right here.
Right.
You pull up to the gas station and you can't get gas because you have overdriven your allotted miles. Now
Holy cow.
now listen, now that is Biden's, and this is not Democrats that are bringing this stuff up. These are Republicans in the House of Representatives.
Wow.
They have an R by their name. Now they're going to get all of the support of the Democrats, which is 26.
They have an R by their name for Rhino or
Well, they're Republicans,
No.
but they vote like Democrats.
yeah.
Now the Democrats will support all this. See, they can't, if the Democrats brought this up, it'd be smashed in a minute. But when Republicans bring this up, then it's a different deal. So you have to kind of understand.
So it all goes back to control. All goes back to control. They want to know where you're at, what you're doing, at all times.
Healthcare, control.
Yeah.
I mean, your insurance determines what kind of health care you get. The insurance companies determine your health care. So, and the food thing, they control the food, they control you.
Oh yeah, food supplies. Yeah, that's the.
And all of this is coming about by Biden's green agenda.
Have we done anything?
In my opinion.
Have we done anything in Oklahoma with the China buying land?
Yeah.
We have.
Yes, the House passed that.
Okay.
And that's something else we want to talk about. The House passed that, sent it over to the Senate. Senate wouldn't hear it. Now, we're having new elections in the House, new Speaker. So is the Senate. Now, the Senate, they've got a guy that's running. He's from down Durant. He's really a conservative. If the Senate will put him in, that will help us because all of this good conservative legislation that we're passing has been killed in the Senate. Bullard, Senator Bullard, if he gets elected, he won't kill it. He'll hear it. So that'll help us. And the same way, sending good conservative legislation over to the House, which will force House leadership to hear that good stuff. So it's really important that these guys get elected over there into leadership positions.
Wow.
So that will help. I mean, that will help us, because the House blames the Senate and the Senate blames the House.
Yeah.
But if you get these guys in there, then they'll send some good stuff over, and they'll hear our stuff. So
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Okay, we're back. We're gonna close this up here shortly. Tell us about the state question number. There's 2 state questions.
there's 2
Okay.
state questions. State question 833 and state question 834. 834 is says that, and it'll go into the Constitution, that only U.S. citizens can vote in Oklahoma. Kind of a no-brainer, right?
Well, in a common sense world, yeah.
Yeah. So, but if that passes, then only U.S. citizens can vote. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter what kind of ID you got. If you're not a United States citizen, you cannot vote.
Shouldn't you be a United States citizen to be able to get a state issued driver? I mean,
Yeah, you should, and that's why
Okay.
we don't need to
Okay.
vote to give them driver's license.
Right,
We do
okay.
not need to do that.
no.
We do not need to start down that road and doing that, because I'll tell you this: when they flew them planes into the Twin Towers, those guys, you know how they were able to take pilots training? They had a driver's license. If you
Yeah,
get-
we were paying for their school.
Yes.
We were paying for their federally funded for them to learn how to
Right,
drive.
and they didn't learn to land them; they just learned to fly them, which was pretty interesting. But if you have a driver's license, you can go get a gun.
Right.
Just food for thought. All right. 834. 833 is a very interesting bill. If you're in the real estate business, and so if somebody wants to develop 40 acres, right? An individual wants to develop 40 acres. He puts in the roads, right? He puts in the sewer system, puts in the water, lays it off, electric and all that. He does it. The guy that's doing it does it. So with this question though, this thing opens it up for municipalities to go in partnerships with individuals. So you're talking about individual and municipality together. And what it does is that municipality then, with the unelected board members, can decide, well, I'm going to help you, but I'm not going to help you. They're going to pick winners and losers and the tax base. You're in the real estate business. You need to look at this. The tax base will go and pay for all the utilities. So you're diverting the taxes off of that from schools or counties. You're diverting it back into paying for all the infrastructure that it took to get it there. So really what you're seeing is this land, and it may be improved and people may build houses on it, and they may not. So, but either way, do you know what a TIF is?
No.
You need to, I ain't got time to tell you what that is, but it's taking land and using it, and and it freezes the tax base right there. And so all the improvements that's made, everything that's made on that, doesn't go to the schools. It goes to pay back all the money that was spent to get it like it is. Now, it's complicated, but what it does, it's a partnership between government and individuals. And that's about as close to socialism as you can get.
So basically, the government, they're not satisfied with just the property taxes and stuff they're going to collect. They're wanting a bigger.
And and the taxes will go up, but the taxes, it's not that where the taxes help the schools. It's not that it goes back into to pay for all the stuff that it took.
Who makes the final decision on how they
this
do things?
this unelected board.
They'll have maybe not an open interest, but they'll have some kind of interest under
Could
the
be.
table interest. or
Could be.
something.
Well, what I'm saying is this is one of those things.
This is something that's not in place. It's something that.
No, right now, well, there are municipalities that have TIFs.
Okay.
And a TIF is just this. It's a government partnership. They freeze the taxes on a piece of ground and they develop it. But when the taxes increase, and you could have a TIF on something for 25 years. So when the taxes increase, when the houses are built, when shopping centers are built, the tax base stays the same as what it was before all this happened. So the schools don't get any more. It goes back into the TIF. It goes back to pay for all the infrastructure.
Okay. What happens when all that's paid back or paid?
Well, if they have a TIF for 20 years or 10 years, then it stays right there. It may take that long, and it may never be developed. That's the thing. It's frozen. And then you have government, instead of one individual taking a piece of ground and getting it ready and going to develop it, build the road, all on that one person. Then now the city comes in, the municipalities come in, and they partner. Well, what if one guy, they don't partner with one guy and they're doing that? Because that board will make sure what you've done is you've picked a winner. Because this one guy's got all the help he's going to ever need, and this other guy's doing it the old-fashioned way.
Wow.
And TIFs have become so unpopular that this is what they are doing to not call it a TIF. They're getting away from it. But listen, we don't want government and private industry coming together.
No.
You don't want
No.
that.
No.
That happened in the 30s and 40s. And Germany did that.
Right.
And they controlled that. The government controlled. It's just like Oklahoma. Panasonic wanted to come into Oklahoma. They wanted $1 billion to come in. And we got into a bidding war with Kansas. And Kansas outbid us, thank goodness. And they got Panasonic. Well, guess what happened? This thing is falling apart. It's about to break Kansas. It's not a good thing. We don't need to get into a bid. If a industry wants to come, let's just say for instance, come to Poto.
Right.
Hey, okay, Poto says, all right, you come, you won't pay any property tax for 5 years. Walmart does that all the time.
Right.
But once they start, when their time runs out, start paying tax, they move, they leave. Or they relocate. So you got,
You got to do some way to.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I can understand, that, it costs a lot of money
Right.
to, that,
Yeah.
to develop a piece of property. But you don't want government in it.
No.
You do not.
Wow.
So,
That's very interesting.
but that's, that's, and it's there. And And it's hard to understand. It really is hard. But the mainest thing is property taxes are frozen. And the schools will all only get just what they got right then. And then, when it starts being development, the increase in property taxes, which there will be,
Right.
doesn't go to the schools.
It goes back.
It goes back into the TIF, back into that fund to pay back the people,
and maintain and
yeah.
wow. That's why I liked that last time we talked. I told you I could have sat here for 8 hours and talked to you because this intrigues. You know, I'm very intrigued by how all this works because the common person watches the news and they don't understand that.
Well, what's important to me is, yeah, you can get caught up in all this, and represent needs to be, but you cannot forget your district.
Right.
You just cannot forget the district.
Well, I think
Because when you know, it's just like, I mean, we need rural Oklahoma, LaFleur County. You know, I cannot support voting on something that's going to be $1 billion that will in no way, shape, form help LaFleur County. It just will not do.
right.
And it won't. I mean, they were going to hire 4,000 people. There ain't 4,000 people in the state of Oklahoma that they can go get. And if they do find them, they'll shut down every mom and pop store in Oklahoma.
Well, that's I think a lot of the plan.
But these guys want to land that big fish.
Right.
You know, that's what they want. They want, and listen, Oklahoma takes in so much money. We've got $5 billion in savings. When I got elected in 2016, I had $2.
Wow.
I think $2.25, something like that. But what I'm saying is, we need tax reform in Oklahoma. If we've got $5 billion in savings, somebody's paying too much taxes.
Right.
And that's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, we have to fund core services.
When are we ever gonna get these turnpikes paid for?
You know,
I always wonder.
I mean, that's another huge issue.
I always wonder how many times this
Well-
Muskogee Turnpike's been paid for. When
Well,
I
you
got
got-
through there.
You got to realize they got to maintain them.
Right.
They got guys that work up there.
Right.
But no, you can. But that's a huge issue in Norman,
Oh,
Oklahoma,
imagine around the.
because they're gonna.
I worked down in Dallas some, and every road down around Dallas is toll road now. I mean,
Yeah.
they knew how to get your.
But if
tax.
you look at it one way, you don't pay for it unless you drive on it.
Right. So we're
Right.
going back to.
You don't. If you don't ever drive on a turnpike, you'll never get a bill.
Right.
But here's another thing that's hurting us: is these. I think I talked about it last time. These tribal tags.
Uh huh.
Because Choctaws and the Chickasaws do it right. They go through the state of Oklahoma Department of Public Safety. And Jan's tribal, we get the car tagged from the state. We go pay it at the deal down there. And then they send us, I don't know, I think they send Jan $10 and, you know, with the Choctaw tag. The other ones, the Choctaws did, the Chickasaws did the same thing. But all the other tribes, they don't use tag agents, state tag agents. They use their own.
Okay.
So now that we're taking pictures of these car tags and sending you a bill, a lot of these tribal tags, when they take their picture of the tag, there's nothing on it. There's no information on it.
Yeah, we did talk about that last.
So you don't know. So who do you send the bill to?
Right. Or who's driving? Or who's
The
who's
most important thing is when a highway patrol pulls them over,
don't.
and they run that tag and there's nothing on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and the worst thing is when these child traffickers,
Mm-hmm.
they're running tribal tags.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So we've got a lot of. I mean,
There's a lot. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking. You know, next 2 years. I mean, I'm looking forward. Actually, the month of November and December, I'm looking forward to see how all this is going to shake out with new leadership. And
Well, a
we'll
lot
see.
of stuff's going. A lot of people are looking forward to see November 6th and see or November 5th and see how that's going to determine a lot of things.
Boy, I tell you what, that could be a wreck. I mean,
That could be a
I mean,
bad
I don't know how it's going to. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I heard a guy say the other day, you know, hey, he said, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not voting for Harris. I'm voting for the Constitution. I'm voting Second Amendment. I'm voting this. So, but what he really meant was he's going to vote for Trump.
Right.
But this is why.
Right.
These are the things he's really voting for.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, gun rights. All that stuff. That's what he's voting for.
You know, I was talking about this the other night, and everybody's got their own opinion, but the abortion stuff, that's the main thing that they're running on. And it seemed like an abortion back, it was almost taboo to even talk about,
Yeah.
you know, back when we were in school. I mean, it just was just, you know, you just didn't discuss it. And now that's their number one topic. The world's it's
Well,
just changed.
and I'm a little older than you, but when I was in school, if a girl got pregnant, she went off
Right.
and came back.
Right.
You know, and it was
Right.
that way. But I think now,
But the laws though is not it's not abortion. I mean, it just gave it to the states and
that's where it should be.
And that's. But you know you got your talking points and you got your highlights that you want to you can take certain words out of sentences and run with it, which the media is destroying everything. The media is. I mean,
Well, look, it's just like these sex changes these young people are doing. That's not health care.
no, it's mental care, mental health.
Providing an abortion is not health care.
Right.
It's not.
It's a,
But that's what they say. It's health care. Women's right to health care.
I seen a thing on right before you got here. I was watching. There's a volleyball player in California. Can't remember which school, but there have been 5 schools that have forfeited to play against them because they have 2 biological males on the team.
There you have it.
It just blows my mind. But we got to wrap it up, or we'd be sitting here for days. But I want to thank Rick for coming in, and like I said, we had a good conversation last time. We just had some technical difficulties, but we really appreciate him coming in again. I learn a lot every time I speak with him. He's very accessible. Anytime I've ever called Rick about it, I think he's that way with everybody, and that's what we need. Somebody that's up in that Capitol, listen to the people he's working for, and I've never heard anything but that about Rick West. He'll listen and he stands on his beliefs. So once again, though, thanks for coming in. And
Well, I appreciate it.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Anytime
it's fun for me to get this information because I really you left last
Well,
time.
I don't want to be a doomsayer, but I just think people in the Ford County District need to understand how it is.
yeah.
I mean, that's just.
It's helped me understand
I mean-
a lot. Just the few times we've talked about stuff, I keep up with a lot of politics.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, there's a lot of people in Ford County that keep up with it.
Right, but they.
They
a lot
do.
of them probably still don't understand how things work. Like some of the
No,
stuff
they
you
don't.
explain.
They don't understand, and I didn't. It took me 2 years to understand it. But once you figure it out, once you see it for what it is, then you can deal with it. And the mainest thing is stay with your core beliefs, stay with your life experiences, stay with what you believe in. And tell people what you believe, how you believe, and then stand on it.
Right. Well, maybe you can come back in the spring session, and after we, maybe we'll all be feeling a lot better.
Hope so. I hope we are. But yeah, I'd be glad. I'd be glad to come back anytime.
Well,
You know,
we'll be
during-
calling you. Trina, be getting hold of you.
I'm gonna be on the radio. I was on there with Leroy Billy, and Leroy got sick and all that. But I talked to David here a while back, and we're gonna do that once a week, like me and Leroy did.
Good.
And
I'd love to be able to do this more, but yeah, we'll definitely get you back in because this is always and this is very informative to people that watch it.
yeah, I think.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Marilyn. Bye. Yeah.